What is up, everyone? Good evening. Welcome to another episode of the Ear Hustling Podcast. You know who you got. You got your boy Eric. You got your boy James. E, what's going on, man?
Hey, you my boy.
Yeah, today. We'll see what happens on Thursday.
You'll always be my brother. You're never my boy, man. That's like a downgrade.
Oh, my bad. What's going on, man?
No, not too much, man. Just another beautiful day in Wayne County in the city of Detroit in the state of Michigan.
I hear you. Well, I made reference to this somewhere. I can't remember where, that I was going to be dedicating this episode to my mom for, once again, many of you who know, 1 year ago today, she passed away. So it's been a struggle the last couple of days. It's been a struggle all night and a struggle today. So definitely want to try to pick up the energy and bring you guys some good content. But for those prayer warriors out there, definitely keep me and my family in your prayers. For those of you who lost people, I know it's tough times, especially around those first, the first birthdays, the first Mother's Days, or whatever special day it may be, the first anniversary. So once again, keep us in your thoughts and prayers, please. Always.
On behalf of your friends and your family, like I said, it's circled on my calendar too. I've got your mom's obituary inside of a picture frame. So, she's never far from me. I've got hers actually right next to my mother and my grandmother. So that's how important your mom was to me. So your mom was like a second mom. So I echo those sentiments.
Appreciate it. I'm wearing a shirt that makes me think of her. My hero is now an angel. So and the rest is lung cancer awareness. Once again, for those who know, she passed away from lung cancer. So, but anyway, that was the end. Today, Eric, we are talking about the year in review. So this is going to be interesting. I don't think we probably have enough time to talk about everything that has happened in 2020. This is the year of the perfect vision, and none of us saw this coming. So why don't you, brother, see, I'm not your boy, kick us off. What you got? We just gonna kind of throw out some things and just discuss them as we go. So I got my little handy dandy list of things I want to talk about. So what's first on your list?
First thing is, it started January 2nd. Back in the beginning of the year, we, how can I put this? I don't want to sound like that I'm picking on somebody so early in the podcast, but we killed an Iraqi general on a drone strike on January 2nd. And there's been a lot of controversy about that. And the ironic part about it is that the country of Iraq has issued a warrant for the arrest of Donald Trump, who was the one that gave the order. So that's how the year kicked off. I don't know how that's going to turn out. Donald Trump is the most powerful man in the world. So how in the world this is going to turn out in the midst of all of this COVID-19, James? I don't know. I feel a little uncomfortable with that.
Yeah, that's I saw that today, and I was really taken aback. I've never seen anything like that. Not that I'm that old, but I've never seen anything like that happen in my lifetime. In the history books, I don't remember hearing about a United States president have a warrant issued for his arrest. So that's going to be very interesting. I will challenge you on one thing.
What's
you
that?
Said on January 2nd, we didn't do shit. Don't put my name in that arrest warrant. Okay. I'm already on parole. I'm trying to get. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not on parole. Y'all can Google my name. I'm clean. But seriously though, no, that ain't no we. We didn't vote on that. So he took it upon himself. So he got to own that one.
All right. So I stand corrected. The 45th president of the United States issued more or less a hit on an Iraqi general.
Yes. But now remember, we're thugs.
Hey, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you on a parole or is it probation or is it paroled probation? I don't know.
All the above.
Okay.
All the above. Yeah, that was a very interesting start to the year. So I know you're going to have some other things going on, and we may skip over some dates or whatever and kind of jump all over the place. But that's fine. It's a lot of stuff to cover once again.
It
I'm actually
definitely
going to
is.
talk about January as well.
Okay.
January 20th in the state of Washington, the very first COVID-19 case was determined. Now, was that the very first case in the U.S.? We'll never know that. Probably not. My wife, she got sick in right around January, and she could not shake whatever she had. So she had a chronic cough. She was sick for like 3 weeks. This was really before we really started paying attention to COVID-19 and all that stuff, whatever. So some people may have had some unexplained illnesses. Some people was sick for quite a while and maybe it wasn't diagnosed. So who knows? But the very first case in the U.S. was accounted for January 20th, 2020.
You know what? Now that you say that, and I'm gonna have to do my research real quick, but The Rock's dad passed away. I'm trying to think whether or not it was in 2020.
Yeah, it was. It was because we went to if anyone watched the Titan games, it was filmed here in Atlanta. And we had got free tickets to go to the event. And that was just a few weeks, like 2-3 weeks after his dad passed. So, yep, that was this year.
And the weird thing about that is, well, I'm not going to say weird, but I like to listen to a lot of podcasts, and B. Brian Blair, who's good friends with The Rock's dad, was saying that he was a fixture in church. He said that The Rock's dad was complaining about feeling sick. He just thought maybe that it was the flu, and then the next thing you know, he was gone. So I'm wondering if that was COVID-19.
Never know. Yeah. That's interesting. Do you know anyone that has had COVID-19 or has passed away from COVID-19?
Not passed away from COVID-19, but I did do a pulse check on a lot of my friends over on Facebook, and a lot of people I had no clue was diagnosed with COVID-19, either in the midst of a sickness or after the fact. When they had like blood work drawn and they were going in for like routine checkups, and they noticed that it was still strands of that virus that was still in a system.
Wow. Well, I think I am right on the number. At one point, we had 4 people close to us in our inner circle, if you will, an extended circle that had it, of which 2, I'm looking over my executive producer, was it 2 that passed away or 3 from COVID-19? 3 that passed away. Yep, 3. 3 that we know of the 4 that passed away. So that's very unfortunate. It's very serious. I do want to throw this out real quick to any listeners out there. If you or your loved one has had COVID-19, reach out to us. Definitely want to talk to you. Got some questions for you. So reach out to us. Our email address is theearhustlingpodcast@gmail.com. Theearhustlingpodcast@gmail.com. Feel free to send us an email, or we're real fancy, Eric. We're so fancy that you can even text us or call us. It is a hotline number, so don't expect anyone to answer. And that number is 404-590-6008. 404-590-6008. We would love to hear from anyone that has had COVID-19 or, once again, any loved ones.
And to those who did, definitely want to let you know that our prayers are with you. We don't know what the after effects of this is going to be. So, stay prayed up. And if you do happen, to have it and fortunate enough to shake it, just try to be as healthy and as safe as you can. Because I've heard of instances where people have actually caught it twice.
Yeah. And last thing I'll say on COVID-19, in my area, I live in Midtown Atlanta. There's been a spike in cases here in Midtown. So it's serious. It really is. You get some conflicting reports. How serious is it? It is serious. It's not serious. It's not as serious as the media makes it sound. My question is, do you want to find out? So if the answer is no, then take precautions. There's Donovan Mitchell. I heard him say when he was diagnosed that he still felt like he could play. Donovan Mitchell's a shooting guard for Utah Jazz in the NBA. So he felt like he still can compete. He was asymptomatic. That's fine. Do you want to roll the dice? Do you want to take that chance? I've had the flu, and the flu ain't nothing to play with. I was down and out with the flu, so I don't want to take the chance. That's it. So, what else you got, Eric?
Let me see what else we have. Very sad event that happened. I think I'm going to skip around a little bit because this is still kind of gets to me. Kobe Bryant passing away. That right there was kind of that was a choker, so to speak. Right around the same age range-ish, as Kobe. I've definitely known for being a basketball player, but, he was so much more than that. He was a father, donated to a lot of charities, did a lot of good in the community without throwing the pom-poms up saying, hey, look at me, look what I did. He died so tragically, like Aaliyah passed away, in a similar fashion. Was just like crushing. And then the fact that they said that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when they recovered the bodies, he was clenching his daughter, to shield her. And it was just one of those things where you think of somebody rich and famous and all of that other stuff, but it was just a tragedy the way that he died. And it was just so sudden. Very, very young man, still had a lot of good years ahead of him. And that right there really, that really choked me up, on so many levels other than just being a sports fan. So that right there, definitely feel that that's been like one of the top stories, not just in the United States, but across the world because of the influence that he had.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. Yeah, January 26th, that was a tough one. I remember me, Shay, Princeton was all playing cards. He was over visiting that Sunday. We were just hanging out, and Princeton had to go away to go to the car to get something from his car. And I said, let me just check Facebook. And I saw someone say RIP Kobe. And I'm like, man, people be playing too much on social media. But someone told me to look for it just in case. And I Googled it and nothing came up. And I was mad. I was ready to confront the person. So mad, just spitting venom, whatever. And I went to Google, nothing was there. And I hit refresh. And when I hit refresh, the story populated from TMZ. So that was very shocking. It was a tough one, and it's funny. Some people were saying, why are you guys mourning? You didn't know him. I don't think it matters. When you just have a connection to someone for whatever reason, on whatever level, and if you can't connect to someone in nothing else but as just a human being, that's enough to me. And Kobe you were able to connect with him, even though he didn't know who James Montgomery was, he didn't know who Eric Smith was, he didn't know who the Ear Hustling podcast was. It doesn't matter. He was a dad, like you said, he was a husband, he was a professional athlete. Then people start bringing up all the bad that he did. The one incident in Utah where he was accused of rape. Once again, doesn't matter. That one action does not define who he was as a human. So his wife forgave him, no matter what, and she continued building a family with him. So why should we be caring in those situations? We became caring and butting our nose in other people's business, but yeah, that was a tragic loss. So
yeah, they had just had a baby. There's a very, very young child that's not going to get the opportunity to know their father.
Yep.
And it's just, it's sad because, like I said, I have children. You have children, and it's just one of those situations where you think, man, what would life be like if I wasn't in my children's life to guide them, to be able to nurture them? He still leaves behind 2 other children and obviously his wife. And like I said, on that level, if you can't be human and feel, that, because the country was literally in mourning. I mean, anytime that you have Like I believe our president acknowledged, Kobe Bryant passing away, and if somebody like him, feels some sort of a connection, to the point where he feels like that it's a loss, and he's probably the most, well, I'm not going to get started on him, but in terms of like the sympathy or empathy, I think he lacks it for the most part. But he even acknowledged the death of Kobe Bryant as a sad, event that happened. And just one last thing, I do believe that Vanessa Bryant, that's Kobe Bryant's wife, is filing a lawsuit with the manufacturer of the helicopter for some sort of defective, like a lawsuit due to like defective parts in the helicopter. So that's the update on that situation.
Yeah, just real quick. Kobe actually has 4 daughters total. Of course, Gianna passed away with him, so he leaves behind 3 daughters.
Okay.
Just throw that out there. And I did hear that Vanessa filed that lawsuit. And one thing that I heard that the helicopter company made a statement and said, and it's a tough situation for them, because we're all pro Kobe, right? Kobe is our guy. He died. His daughter and the other people in the helicopter as well. But at the end of the day, the helicopters got to defend themselves, and they're in a tough situation, to do that, because we're all going to hate them for whatever they have to say. And something I heard them say was that Kobe and all the other passengers knew of the risk for flying being so cloudy, but they insisted on it. So I don't know if they're going to be able to prove that. That's a very strong statement to make. And once again, that's something that it's going to be interesting how it turns out. But it wasn't just Kobe that died there. No one get us wrong. There was 9 people, I believe, total, if memory serves correct. But of course, Kobe was the guy that we all knew. Awesome. Number 3, next on my list. I'm sorry. Next on my list. It started last year, December 18th, and it ended this year on February 5th. The impeachment proceedings on number 45. He's come up a few times. You notice this?
Yes.
Yeah, he's come up a few times, but he was officially impeached by the House, and the Senate, of course, voted to not impeach. If memory serves correct, one Republican senator, Mitt Romney, had the kahunas to impeach on one of the articles. He was the only one. And that was troubling for me.
Mm-hmm. Where's Mitt Romney from anyway?
He's originally from Michigan.
You know what city?
I believe, was it Dearborn or Romulus?
Nah, it's Detroit.
He's actually from Detroit.
He's actually born in the D.
Oh, okay. Okay. Awesome. Did not know that.
Yeah, that's a little FYI.
Yeah. So I was a little troubled, I'll be honest. This shows how split our country was and is. If memory serves correct, once again, and I stand corrected if you know something other than what I'm going to say. In the House vote, it was totally split. Democrats vote one way, Republicans voted the other. In the Senate, exactly the same way, with the exception of Mitt Romney. And talk about an unfair trial, however you look at it. There's no way that you're going to tell me, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt here. There's no way you're going to tell me that every single Democrat believed that he was guilty, and every single Republican, House, Senate, whatever, believed he was innocent. Somebody had to have a difference of opinion, but they didn't have the balls, except for Mitt Romney, to vote the opposite way.
I agree. There was definitely a lot of politics involved in that. What happens if the president does get impeached and removed? What does that say about the rest of the Republican Party? Do they think that maybe that would have swayed the upcoming election? Well, you know what? The leader of your party, who we elected president, did all of these horrible things, and why should we re-elect you? I do believe that domino effect would have failed either way it went. A lot of people in the United States did not agree with it. His approval rating right now, if I'm not mistaken, is somewhere near 40%, which is, I think it is an all-time low for somebody who's been in office as long as he has. So I don't know. But then again, didn't think that 45 was going to get elected in 2016, and a lot of folks took that for granted. So regardless, again, of which direction you vote, please get out and vote. Vote your conscience, and don't complain if your horse doesn't win the race if you didn't cast a vote for him.
Very true. Very true. Speaking of voting, as you know, Eric, and as many of our fans know, loyal listeners, we did a poll this past week asking who will win in the presidential election this upcoming November, and a whopping defeat. Joe Biden wins 78% of the vote to 22%. 512 votes was casted, and the way that number breaks down is 397 voted for Biden, 115 voted for Trump. Please, 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 as Eric said, do not think that vote counts in November. Get out and vote, whether it's early voting, whether it's absentee ballots, whether it's showing up on general election day. Get out and vote. Let your voice be heard, please. And what's next on your list?
You know what? I want to go with something that I guess some people think is serious, but I really don't think it's all that serious. But hell, it was breaking news involving the royal family. So who was that? Prince Harry? Hold on one second, because I get him confused. So for those of you who take the royal family and all of that stuff seriously, they don't really have any real big political influence and all that other stuff. Don't kill me. But
why are you looking that up? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I've got it. No, so it was Prince Harry and his
Meghan
wife.
Markle.
They stepped down. Yep, Meghan Markle, beautiful lady. They stepped down from their royal duties. Since then, they've been to the United States. They've been to Canada. They've been like somewhere everywhere. I don't understand the significance of it, but I guess it's probably one of those, what do you call those folks who paparazzi, one of those paparazzi type situations. I guess they do kind of got like a rock star status. But I don't get it. Do you kind of understand what the big hoopla, because they wanted to not be so much into the public life and people are making a big fuss about it?
You know what? I saw a movie like this. It's called Coming to America. So to answer your question, no, I don't see the hoopla. My wife is not necessarily into it, but she understands the royal family and the hierarchy, and she tried to explain it to me. And I get that just as much as I get who's first cousins, who's second cousins, and all that stuff. It's like, you're my cousin, that's it, let's end it there. But, first removed and all that good stuff, she tried to explain all that stuff to me. But I'm like, what game is on tonight?
Well, she's going to have to explain it to me because I still don't get it. I'm just as befuddled as you are.
Yeah.
It probably explains why our girlfriends and wives are like way smarter than we are.
Let the record say I do not have girlfriends and wives. I just have a wife.
No. I said me girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
And girlfriends / wives.
Gotcha. So, okay. It's not a and.
It's not an and. It's
gotcha.
You're right.
Gotcha. Okay. I wanted to make set the record straight because she's about 6 feet from me. So I would definitely see a shoe coming.
And the snub, no, really? I thought she was going to go for a snub nose revolver.
No, not today. She don't have pinky. Next for me, this might be the biggest news of the year. Sit back, brace yourself. April 14th, 2020. The Ear Hustling Podcast was born, baby. That was the first episode.
That probably is the biggest news.
It is.
In this entire mid-year review.
Yes.
And soon to be coming to our listeners where?
BS3 Radio and every major podcast platform around. But we were born on that day.
Yes, we were born on that day. Hey, you know what? We're going to have to make sure that we take a vacation this time next year and celebrate our baby.
Sounds good. Well, our baby. That sounds a little weird, sir. Two men and a baby?
No, actually, it would be 2 men and 2 women because, even though me and you may be the faces of this project, so we are assisted by some very, very strong women. And without them, we definitely would not be where we are today.
Well, this is very true. And I do have to add something that you are not aware of, and I do apologize. I did not have a chance to tell you this. We hired a new producer on the show. After you share your next topic, please take a moment and pull out your phone and go to Instagram. Go to the Ear Hustling Podcast Instagram page and take a look. Everyone, I need you to do that right now. Pause us, mute us, pull up a different window, whatever you need to do. Go to Ear Hustling Podcast on Instagram and look at our newest producer as she prepared for the show today. So, Eric, what else you got? Yes, it's a fine woman that's been added to our group of fine women that is working on the show.
Outstanding. I will definitely take a look at that. The next point that I have is Vice President Joe Biden, and we're going in no particular order, but he announced this year that his running mate would be a woman. Probably a woman of color at this point. He didn't say that exactly because the world has changed a little bit since he made that announcement. How do you feel about that? I think it was a huge story. I think that it definitely is going to sway some people who were kind of on the fence. But how do you think that that's going to differ with him having a female VP versus Hillary Clinton, who was a woman with a male VP?
Great question. And I'm going to say this. I kind of, I might catch some slack for this one. I kind of wish,
don't you?
I kind of wish that he didn't box himself in and say that it was going to be a woman. And the reason I say that, it has nothing to do with being a woman. I would not want him to say I'm going to choose a man. I wouldn't want him to say I'm going to choose a blank. I'm going to choose the best person out there that's going to help unite our country and move our country forward from the piece of crap, excuse me, from the position that we're currently in. That's what I would have preferred to hear. Because my question is, what happens if I personally feel that your running mate is very important? I remember, this is dating myself, I remember Walter Mondale back in 80, I believe it was, when he ran and he chose Geraldine Ferrara to be his running mate. The country, for whatever reason, in our stupid selves, I wasn't able to vote at that time, but they was not ready for a woman VP. That's very stupid. A woman can do the job just as well as a man can, period, bottom line. But they weren't ready, and he lost the election. I feel that there are some presidential nominees that choose a running mate that sometimes hurt them more so than help them. Not saying, once again, that choosing a woman was going to hurt him, but he just needs to choose the best possible person out there to run with him. That's just how I feel about it. But some of the names that's come up, I kind of like. Some of the names, some of them I'm like, don't do it. But that's kind of where I stand.
Okay. And just to kind of piggyback off your topic, when Barack Obama first decided to run for president back in 2008, John McCain chose Sarah Palin. I guess you could say she was moderately qualified. She was the governor of Alaska at the time. She was a relative unknown. She was more or less known for being Miss Alaska, and then just recently been elected. Do you think that a situation like that actually helped, say, Barack Obama at the time, who was the underdog?
You know what? No, I don't. I think the country changed by that time. You know, and I think a woman, it would have been okay, or the country would have been okay with electing a woman into the vice presidency. Were they ready to vote a woman in as president? Jury is still out because we haven't done that yet. So, but I don't think that, personal opinion, I don't think that is why Barack was able to beat John McCain.
Okay. And
I got a guilty confession. I do not remember who Hillary Clinton's running mate was.
Tim Klein, senator from Virginia.
Tim Klein? God, I did not remember that. I was sitting here as you were talking. I'm like, who in the hell was her running mate? I couldn't remember.
I got lucky that you asked that question, because the only reason why I remember is because when I was taking some technology classes at Focus Hope, he actually came to Focus Hope, and he spoke on a Focus Hope campus.
Okay.
So
awesome.
You asked something that I happen to know about, and just real quickly, 2020, just to kind of get off this topic and move on to something else, has been my goodness, like a just like a dartboard of material. Both of our presidential candidates are linked to some sort of improper sexual behaviors towards women. A big breaking news story. We basically are looking at, I think, mirror images. It's just, who do we pick? Do we pick the quote crazy senile old man in Joe Biden, or the crazy senile old man in Donald Trump? who do we go with? I know what the poll said that we did the mock election on, but I mean, man, this is a hell of a situation that we're in. What do we do?
Well, I'll tell you what we don't do. Someone posted on Facebook yesterday, and I was unaware of this, I'm not going to lie to you, that there's a third person running, a libertarian. It's a woman. Her name is Joe somebody. We don't vote for that person. This is not the time for a real unknown, in my opinion. And maybe I'm just lack of knowledge. Maybe our listeners out there are like, what? You don't know who Joe is? And that's fine. Educate me. But I don't think this is a time that we try and make the third party relevant. You know, that's just going to split the vote. Voting for Joe is not Joe Biden. The other Joe is really voting for Trump. It really is. So I say we don't do that. I do believe that we do need a third party. I truly do. I can count on one hand how many Democrats that has ran that is really relatable to the people that they represent. You know, and I think that's a problem. So speaking of which, we're getting off topic, I know. Did you hear Bob Johnson, former founder of BET, and also former owner of the Charlotte Bobcats, he wrote a memo to Black Lives Matter organization asking them to become a political party.
You know what? I remember us having a light conversation about that. How much traction do you think that's going to get? Do you think that that's going to, well, I think that now it's probably too late for it to have a major impact on this particular election, but going forward for 24, what do you think is going to, what do you think is going to happen there? Do you think that after all of the social injustice issues have been addressed and things starts to get a little better, do you think that that issue is going to die? Well, not the issue. Do you think that proposal is going to die?
Well, so that was a recommendation. I have not heard an official word from Black Lives Matter yet as far as what their plans are or if they were open to the idea. But if Biden wins, I don't think we'll hear from them in 2024, maybe in some other smaller political offices, you know, Congress, Senate, you know, whatever. Not saying that's small, but you know what I'm saying? Not the most powerful office in the land. I don't see them wanting to compete against Joe. So if he wins, so yeah, who knows? That's definitely something we have to come back to and keep an eye on.
Okay. All right, let's get back on topic. I think is it your turn?
It is. Just to kind of piggyback off of you and just make one last point. Joe Biden officially got enough delegates on June 6, 2020. So by that time, Bernie had already dropped out. It was just, you know, formality, but he officially became the guy on that day. So just going to piggyback and share that with you. Let's see here. Next on my list, we talk about Kobe. Someone else passed away this year that had a big influence on community, culture, music. On May 9th, Little Richard passed away. So that too was a loss. He was, of course, older, but Little Richard definitely paved the way for a lot of artists, a lot of good music. Tutti Frutti was, I feel weird saying it, but it's also a fun song to say. It was definitely a loss to the music community.
Definitely, and just to kind of piggyback off that, another music icon that passed away was Kenny Rogers. Kenny Rogers also had a lot of crossover appeal. He did country, he did like a little bit of pop, did a little bit of soul, did a little bit of gospel. So he did a little bit of everything. So Kenny Rogers, music icon, you don't have to be a country music fan in order to know who Kenny Rogers is. So, that's another icon that we lost. Those two will never be replaced. They had their own unique styles. And the thing I liked about Kenny Rogers the most, man, he had an awesome beard.
Kenny Rogers, he sings "Achy Breaky Heart," doesn't he?
Yep, he was also in the game. Nope.
I'm joking. You agreed very quickly, though. I was joking.
You
I was
tried
joking.
to pick. No, you got to know when to fold them. You got to know when to hold them.
Know when to hold them, know when to fold them. Yeah. I was joking, but you said yes. It's on tape. I got you.
I'm going to talk to our production leader and see if we can get that edited.
Nope, the world has already seen it. The producer's already laughed. She's seen it. All right, what you got next?
Oh, hey, you know what? My dude, Tom Brady.
He retired. He retired.
No, March 20th. No?
Oh, he retired on March 20th.
No.
Oh.
He signed his contract with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on March 20th.
Ah, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Okay.
And a short time later, Rob Gronkowski, who came out of retirement, decided to roll with him.
Getting the band back together.
Yeah, that was hey, you know what? That right there was a big signing. Brady signing with the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers were already a Super Bowl contender. They just needed to kind of get a few dominoes to fall in place. But now you add, the GOAT Tom Brady, and then you add Gronkowski. Man, it's like if we have a football season, Tampa Bay is going to be a force to be reckoned with.
So here's the thing about that, in my opinion. I agree. If we have a football season, how many, and we need to do an over-under on this. How many NFL players will sit out 1+ games due to testing positive for COVID-19? So we're not going to talk about that now, but that's definitely something I'm going to throw out there. Anyone that's listening right now, please share. And the producer is getting up out of her seat, coming over to me. So she's passing me the cards, and we'll see what someone has to say. But I do want to hear from the listeners on how many, what's the plus minus on that. Let's see.
And the first pick of the 2020 NFL draft is?
So James Ludwig has 2 points. He said 50% of the league will sit out one or more game due to being tested positive for COVID-19. And he also says a signing that won't mean much. I think Tom Brady's going to be bad this year.
Well, James, I think you're wrong. And James, I think you're wrong. But we're going to find out. But James, I definitely respect your opinion. Tom Brady doesn't have to be that alpha guy. I mean, people were talking the same mess about Peyton Manning. They took Peyton Manning out, put Brock whatever the heck his name was, and then right before whatever. I mean, he wound up getting a Super Bowl ring because of Peyton Manning basically came in and bailed him out to help them win the Super Bowl. But I think Brady doesn't have to be a superstar. Brady has to just be a star. He makes good decisions. He's going to have a solid offensive line and something that he really had, which is a running game. So for those folks who think Brady, I mean, what's you know what? Let me backpedal. What do people consider a bad season for Brady? They say that this year was a bad season for Brady. But look at his stats.
Yep. I said that myself. I said that he did not have a Brady type year. That I'm definitely going to stick to that.
Okay. Well, if you took the name away from the stats and just looked at the stats, was it a good year? Yeah, I say yes.
He had a decent year. He did. He's got a lot of weapons. He really does. And I'm taking a look at their depth chart. You got O.J. Howard, you got Ron Gronkowski, Chris Godwin, Ronald Jones in the backfield. I mean, the list goes on. So he's got weapons. And what he has in Tampa Bay that he has not had or he did not have in New England is he has names. He has people that are already ballers. And people are gonna hate me for saying this, but I'm okay with Tom Brady. And what I'm going to say is this. He made people in New England. Wes Welker, what did he do after not Wes Welker, Danny Amendola.
Wes Welker, too.
Wes Welker was included in still there. He's still there. It was another who
You
was he?
mean Julian Edelman?
Yeah,
Julian
Julian
Edelman is
Minister.
still there.
Yes. Wes
Okay.
Walker. Yes, you're right. I was right. Wes Walker. What has he done really since he left New England? Danny Amendola. What has he done? He's in Detroit now, like the guy, whatever. But what has he really done since leaving Tom Brady? Aaron Hernandez. What did he do? Oh, that's a different story. Sorry.
Ooh. Ooh.
Foul, foul on the play. Wait, the producer's
Uh,
coming with another card. Let's see
yep.
here.
We might have to put you on a 30-second timeout for that one.
James is asking, can he join us on Zoom? James, sorry, not this episode. It's too late to get you in, but we definitely will bring you on soon. I know you got stuff you want to say. So we're connected on Facebook, so we'll definitely talk, James.
Yeah, looking forward to it, James. I have a feeling that we've got a Brady basher on our hands, but that's okay though, James. I love all opinions, whether they're right or wrong, or whether they're mine or somebody else's.
James is a very intelligent man. He's been involved in radio. He lives there in Michigan. So I definitely respect him. I definitely respect his opinion unless it's different than mine. But anyway, just kidding, James. No, you know I got nothing but love for you, man. You're welcome anytime. All right, next thing. This is a big one. May 25th, 2020, the day that George Floyd was murdered. This is totally different, and we've talked about this several times, and I'm not going to go real deep into it. But this is something different, Eric. This is something different than what we've seen in the past. Different from Rodney King. Different from Tamir Rice. Different from Trayvon Martin. All of those are Breonna Taylor. All of those things are very tragic cases, no doubt about it. All of them deserves justice. But George Floyd, for some reason, it's a little bit different. Watching the 8 minutes and 46 seconds of that officer kneeling on George Floyd's neck, hearing George Floyd say he can't breathe, hearing him call out for his deceased mother. As I started the show off, my mom is deceased, and I cannot imagine being in a situation where I'm calling out for help from her. And I've seen signs in protests all across the country in saying when George Floyd called out for his mother, that was a call out for mothers across the country, and mothers became engaged. And what's different about this is very simple. I went to a protest a couple weeks ago, Shay and I, and it was a peaceful protest. I'll be honest, I said this through words. I'm going to say, typed out on our page. I'm going to say this on our show now. I went to this protest mad. I went to the protest. All Shay asked me was, hey, on Friday, you want to go to the protest? Matter of fact, it was on Juneteenth, 10 days ago. You want to go to a protest? Hell yeah, I'm going to go to a protest. I got my Sharpie out. I wrote up a sign. I'm ready to go. I'm pissed off. I'm going to blow off some steam peacefully, but I want to blow off some steam. I want to be with like-minded people to blow off the same steam. I get there and come to find out it's a religious protest. There's about 10,000 people, literally 10,000 people that came together, marched on Atlanta. Different churches came together to unite, to walk. We prayed before we walked, before we marched. There was Christian music. It was just a peaceful experience. And if anyone has ever gone to church, anyone, I think it's safe to say when you find yourself around a group of believers, no matter what your belief is, this has been my experience at least, my heart softens. It just automatically softens. The word is around. I was no longer angry. I was, but I wasn't like I was. I didn't want to blow off the same steam. I wanted to just be a part of the movement, if you will. And to be able to see Black and white people come together, hold hands and praying together, strangers, complete strangers, but the media wasn't there. Trump wasn't talking about those thugs, those prayer warriors. He wasn't talking about them. He's talking about something totally different. But what's different about this movement is there's more people across the country that are woke. There's white people who have awakened. There's Asian people who have awakened. There's Hispanics who have awakened. There's so many different nationalities of people who have awakened. It's not just Black people. Up to this point, we've tried to do it mainly on our own. Mainly. We've had some support from outside nationalities, outside um, nationalities. But now it's a united front. And that's why I think this is different.
You know what, you raised some very good points, and I couldn't agree with you more. But I had a conversation with someone a couple of days ago that kind of, actually it was yesterday, that kind of opened my eyes on some things too, on why have these things been happening in terms of, you know, the white police officers just doing this to African Americans. Don't totally agree with the point, but I can kind of see why the point was made in the direction that it was going. We as a society have a history of Black on Black crimes. So the person who I was talking to, their theory was, why should the white man respect us when we don't respect ourselves, when we're out here killing each other before all of this became a thing? You know, Detroit, Atlanta, all of the major metropolitan cities, we were killing each other. So the thought process there was, we need to start taking better care of ourselves before we can expect better treatment from other races. And I do agree with that. And yeah, we definitely do not want to be considered an inferior race. But if you look at a lot of the other ethnicities, there's not typically a lot of that going on within those communities. You don't hear a lot, and I know it happens, but you don't hear a lot of Hispanic on Hispanic crime, white on white crime. You don't hear a lot of that. But when you look at the news, and maybe it's just media, you always hear that a Black man killed another Black man, or Black man killed another Black woman, or Black man rapes, you know, somebody within their own ethnicity. So I would be inclined to agree that, yeah, we definitely want to stop all of this social injustice that's going on, you know, with other races just looking down on Black people. But we also have to stop doing that to ourselves. So we stop doing that to ourselves, then we're going to get better results from other ethnicities, and they're going to stop viewing us as less than.
And I hear you. I hear them. But I pose this question. When you hear of mass shootings, the person who's guilty of committing those mass shootings typically is what race?
They're white.
Who are typically their victims?
Really, I guess if you're talking about the most recent mass shooting where a white guy went inside of the Black church and killed everyone,
okay.
Are you referring to that?
No, I'm speaking of just in general. In Parkland at the high school, who are primarily the color of the people that are victims. It's usually emphasis, usually also white. People usually commit crimes in their own cities, in their own areas. People typically live amongst cities are pretty segregated for the most part. There's white areas, there's Black areas, sometimes there's little mixed areas, but people usually live amongst themselves. That's an easy point to make, that Black on Black crime. Yes, that's a problem, but I'm gonna still align that is pertinent in this conversation from 45. There's good people and there's bad people on both sides. Meaning, not all Black people are thugs, not all Black people are saints, not all white people are, I don't know what word I should use because I feel like anything I'll say it might be derogatory, but not all white people are what's equivalent to white thugs, I'll put it that way. And not all white people are saints. There's good and there's bad amongst everyone, right? So I don't believe that we have to fix ourselves before we can get respect from others. I don't think that we should have to, as sad as this may sound, I don't think we should stop committing crimes amongst ourselves, which we should, in order to get respect from the police. That is idiotic to me. To get respect from the police, stop killing each other. To get respect from the police, stop stealing from each other. Stop committing crimes amongst yourselves in order to get respect from the police. The police should be non-biased no matter who you are. That's my take on it. Now, if you were to make that argument about white people, period, or other nationalities, other ethnicities, different story. But to say that about the police, I can't agree to that one. Personal opinion, though.
Well, it wasn't just directed in terms of the police. It's just directed towards the racist period. So the police, yes, definitely they should be held to a higher standard, but it wasn't just directed towards them. It's just directed towards a society that not only African Americans, but any other ethnicity that they viewed as inferior. But I believe that we are an easier target as African Americans because of how publicized everything is in terms of when a black man commits a crime or if something happens, because we only make up 40 million people roughly of the segment of the United States. But the vast majority of the stories that goes on out there, you don't really see a lot of like Caucasians. And what's worse about that is that you very rarely see the good that the African American community does. That doesn't get highlighted at all. But yet it seems like every day or every other day we're getting shot or we're getting arrested or we're getting wrongfully accused just because we're black.
Gotcha. Well, Eric, we got about 9 minutes left in the show. Mm-hmm. So I got a couple more things myself, but I don't remember who went last, but I'll pass the ball to you. Why don't you say a couple things and let's kind of speed through these, because I definitely like to at least mention, we'll have to discuss the few things that I have left as well. And I know you do too.
I just got one last point that I want to make, and it concerns the stock market as far as major stories that happened. Stock market dropped at least 3,000 points. I think it was like close to 3,000 points on the 16th of March, like the biggest one-day drop since the Great Depression. Ladies and gentlemen, this really just kind of focus down on honestly being financially prepared for emergency situations. And that's something that I'd like to talk about in the very near future as far as financial readiness in the event of emergency situations. We have to prepare ourselves better. Luckily, a lot of us was able to fall back, whether it was like through the help of the government or whether it was just people pulling together, moving in with each other, whatever. But we have to do a better job as a community of being financially responsible and making sure that when events like this do happen, that we're not caught so off guard where we're dependent on the government to supplement our income. So that's in terms of the 2020 stories. That's all I got. I'm going to go ahead and yield to you so you can go ahead and get your last couple of points.
All right. Next on my list was, that's a great point, Eric. Definitely something we look forward to having conversations on. June 5th, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell gave his speech, his statement. We talked about that, about NFL believes that Black Lives Matter. So that was something I thought was really big this year. Next is something that just happened yesterday that I think is huge news. The Mississippi House and Senate cleared the way to remove the state flag. After 126 years, they're removing their state flag. Once again, some people may say, well, gosh dang it, this should have been happening. Removing the statue should have been happening. And you know what? It would have. But other people outside of Black people was not woke. Now they are. Now things are happening. And that's honestly, I really believe that to my core. That's the reason why this stuff is happening, because other people are woke. And the last thing I want to talk about, in 2016, we started the show talking about this man. We're going to end this show talking about this man. In 2016, Donald Trump said he was going to make America great again. It is June 29th, 2020, and I want to ask, are we great yet? He's had almost 4 years in that office, and he's had very little opposition during his time there. When it comes to the Senate, he's had very little opposition. Are we great yet? I think the answer is no. I think we've taken a step back. Hopefully the next 4 years will be better, as long as we can get a different outcome. That's my 2 cents. Eric, what do you have to say before we tell folks about Thursday?
No, we're not great. We're not even good right now. I have to say, as a country, we're terrible. We're divided. We can't even decide on whether or not
we are united, states of America. We're more like the divided states of America in terms of how our government, the vast majority of the people, who make up the pulse of this country, we know what we want. We just have to unite, and we have to make sure that it happens. Because again, I alluded to it earlier, and I'll say it again. Protesting is great. Getting together is great. We need the same people that got out there and protested to get out there and vote. Some people don't think that they vote matters. You want to know what? I challenge you to prove yourself wrong. The only way your vote doesn't matter if you don't vote.
Eric, do you have an active arrest warrant out for you right now?
You know what? I might fit a description or two, but no, I don't think so.
The president does. Let that sink in, people. The president of the United States has, and where does that arrest warrant come from? Iran. Iran has an arrest warrant out for the president of the United States of America. That's some interesting stuff right there.
Yeah, and for those of us who are joining us at the beginning of the show, President Trump did sign an order for a drone strike to kill an Iraqi general.
And let's end here on this subject, unless you have something else. We got 4 minutes. Did you see Donald Trump's tweet yesterday in Florida, a little area in Florida called the Villages? Beautiful area. Love it. Would love to retire there one day. Someone was driving a golf cart. It's a golf cart community. Everyone has golf carts. You got to see it if you're ever in Florida. Love that place. But someone was driving their golf cart yelling white power. And the president retweeted that and then claimed, of course, he didn't know. He never knows anything. I find that very interesting, but whatever. That's your president, not mine. So Thursday, last thing. Thursday is going to be an interesting show. Next Monday, we're going to talk about Thursday, but I want to jump ahead to Monday. Next Monday, we're going to talk about the stigma on the mental health. There's a huge stigma there. People don't really want to talk about it. People don't want to talk about their own mental health. And I am going to put on my big boy pants. And this coming Thursday on our episode of 10 at 10 with EHP, I'm going to talk about my mental health. I got a lot to say. A lot's probably going to surprise you all. Maybe it won't. But Eric's probably going to ask me some tough questions. I hope he does. But I'm going to be open and honest and talk about that. Leading into next Monday, we're going to have a panel of guests who also are brave to come onto the show and talk about their mental health. So definitely looking forward to those two shows. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to lie to you. I am actually nervous about Thursday. But you know what? It's my truth. I'm going to own it, and I'm going to walk through the fire, and we'll see how it comes out. So, Eric, it was a great show. What do you have in closing, sir?
In closing, it takes a big person to open themselves up in front of a group of strangers. You're going to do it. I'm going to do it later on in the month of July. Hey, you know what? There's no such thing as a perfect person, but you want to know what makes me grateful, and I'm sure what makes you grateful is your support system. So just know, and this is me coming to you as your brother, whatever it is that you might be going through or have went through, you're never going through it alone.
Appreciate it.
I'll always be there for you. And I'm not too big to say that I love you.
I love you back, man. And I'll say this, I'll tell anyone, I have no problem saying this before this show. I spent probably the last 20, 30 minutes before the show curled up in the bed crying. I'm glad you wasn't here, because if you'd have tried to spoon me, we would have had a problem. All right, man.
Handsome, but you're not that damn handsome.
Speak for yourself. Well, it was a good show, man. Appreciate it. Thanks to all the listeners out there. Like us on social media. Follow us. Check us out on Thursday. It has been from our mouths to your ears. Thank you for listening to the Ear Hustling Podcast, everyone. Talk to you later.
Stay safe, America.